Okay, this is part 2 of the tinnitus videos. In this video I'll show you a computer program I wrote in C++ that helps me train my brain to stop generating that horrible ringing in my ears. I'm not a doctor and I'm not an audiologist and I don't really understand what's going on, but it seems like my brain is creating that sound all the time. And if I play that sound for it that I'm hearing, then that quiets it down. So I wrote a program that will play it for me automatically 10 times in a row for a random time with a random pause in between, and then stop, and I'll play that program usually 2 to 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night, if I'm being good, if I remember to do it. And that really helps a lot. It cuts the noise down for me. So if you're having the same phenomenon, and if you can figure out what the frequency is, then you can do the same thing I did. Maybe it'll help you. It won't cost you anything. It's worth a try. Yeah, you need to know how to get a C++ compiler on your computer. I'll give you a download link for it, and I'll give you the code for it. And if you know anything about that, or if you have a buddy who does, or a friend, then you could generate the same code and alter it to suit your needs and maybe improve upon what I've done. So I'll shut up here, go back to reading my book, and then let you watch how to train your brain to maybe cut down on that horrible ringing in your ears. Here's a link to a free C++ compiler. If you have your own, you don't need to go here. It's just the one that I use. And I've got the code here that I wrote for the tinnitus training, I guess you'd call it. This first little chunk here is a comment, just a note to myself, and it looks like this version of it I wrote back in 2017, so roughly 4 years ago. The actual code itself starts after the comments, where you include the iostream and windows and time. That's for random number generation, and then using standard namespace just to make typing easier. And then I set some global constants. For me, the frequency that I'm hearing is 5796. Your frequency might be different, so if you are copying this code, once you figure out what frequency you're hearing, change this number right here, the 5796, change it to whatever. Say that for some reason yours is 6500, put 6500 there. And then I've got a constant here, which is P. I just call it P for pause time. It's 1000 milliseconds, which equals 1 second. D is the duration of the tone, just setting it initially at 12,000 milliseconds, which is 12 seconds. Then you get down in, this is a very simple program, so it can all be done without any function calls. It can be done in the main part of the application, which is the only part that's required. And the cout is just for the display purposes. And then it tells you that this will play whatever frequency you set up here for, in this case, 10 times, and starting for so many seconds, with a random duration and random delay, etc. And then it asks you to hit a key to continue, so we use the system pause for that. And then as soon as they hit the key, the user hits the key, we seed the random number generator. We just run a for loop here. In this case, we're going 10 times, so it's I equals 0 to 10. And I++ just increments it each time. And then we output to the screen whatever iteration we're on. First one would be 10 minus 0 would be 10, and then 10 minus 1 would be 9, and so on. And carriage return. That could have been on the same line. Anyway, then we grab a random number between 1 and 10. This is going to result in an integer. We'll call it x, and it's a random number modulo between 1 and 10. So we add 1 to the result. And then this is the core function right here, this beep. This beep is what makes the frequency, and the function call requires the frequency, which remember was, for me it was 5796. It would be whatever it is for you. And then the duration was D. The duration started out at 12 seconds, but we subtract whatever our random number was times our pause value of 1 second, and so the duration's getting shorter, but we don't know in advance how much shorter because it's a random. X is a random number between 1 and 10. If we haven't finished yet, that is if I is less than 9, so we haven't done at least 0 to 9 times, which is actually 10 times, then pause the computer for some random period of time, which is, we use the sleep function for that. And then remember, P is 1,000, so that's 1 second times 1 times, and then X is our random number plus 1. And honestly don't remember why I built it exactly that way, but I must have experimented with it and found that that worked. That little loop there, that for loop, will go 10 times, and then when it's done, it'll say done. And then we return 0. That's just standard for no errors. And that's it. Very simple program. So if you've got this dev C++, you can copy this code. I'll put it down in the description below so you can do that. Then go up to execute and compile it to make sure that it compiles. On mine it does. Down here you can see that it didn't hardly take any time at all. And then to run it, we go back up here to execute again, and I'll just hit run, and hopefully you'll see my screen. So this says that it'll play that tone for 10 times with the random duration. Press any key to continue, and I won't put you through the whole thing, but I'll run a few iterations of it. And when it's done, it says press any key to continue, so I'll just hit spacebar, and it brings us back to the development environment, and that's all there is to it. Well, that was a good book. Anyway, I am done with this. Unless somebody has some questions or comments, I can't think of anything more I can tell you. You could definitely improve on what I did, I'll bet, for your own purposes, but hopefully that helps somebody out there. If you do have any questions or comments, if it helped you especially, I'd like to hear about it. And if somebody has some improvement to the code, maybe we could share here on YouTube and help a bunch of people out. That would be wonderful. Thanks for watching.